This pairing is excellent.
Really good.
Good to hear that. I'm really happy.
It's really delicious, and the wine is amazing.
Great. Excellent. Excellent.
Good to hear.
All right. Should we move on to the last cheese?
Yeah, we'll launch into the last one. So for this pairing, I definitely was going in a different direction. I really wanted an aged kind of Gouda. I wanted those crystal notes, those casein crystals that we saw a little bit of in the cheddar, but even more so, I wanted really big crystals and nuttiness to pair with the raisin blanc. But we tried it, and the raisin was just so sweet, so just juicy and sugary that it just hid the cheese. So we went and we did a 360, and we went with the blue cheese. We went with a blue cheese because we wanted that saltiness and that creaminess that you find in this, especially the Roaring Forties blue, to balance and to calm down the raisin and to kind of really pair with it. So this is from King Island, which I had to do some research. It's a small island between Australia and Tasmania. So we're not even in the same hemisphere. We're not in the same ocean. We've gone other side of the world for this pairing because we really think they go well together. So it's an island with its own micro kind of ecosystem. The cows, they live there. They actually graze on grass that has been kind of influenced by the salt that comes from the sea. So the name Roaring Forties actually comes from the specific wind they have on Kings Island that deposits salt and minerals in the grass, and then the cows eat it, and it comes through in the milk. And as you can see, this cheese is covered with a black wax. Please don't eat the wax. It's not edible. It won't taste good. It should be taken off either before serving, or you can cut it off, cut around it, and eat your cheese. It's used to kind of protect the cheese and really help it retain its moisture. So feel free to take a look at your cheese. Notice the beautiful blue kind of coloration. So what they've done is when they make the cheese, they introduce sort of a bacterium, the same that for this cheese, the same that they do for the Roquefort cheese in the south of France. They make the cheese together, and then they eventually pierce it with metal needles that allows the oxygen to go into the cheese and react with the bacteria and makes the blue veins. So it's called needling, and that's how you get blue cheese. It's the exposure of oxygen meeting that bacteria, that original blue cheese bacteria, and makes a really nice blue cheese. And you'll notice the saltiness where the blue lines are, the creaminess of the paste, and that should go really well with the wine we're about to introduce.
Great. Is that all you got on this cheese, Hannah? You didn't tell us anything.
I think we all have to go to Kings Island. It looks really nice. If you go to their website, they have a video where they show you the island, and I think we're all making a mistake right now by not being there.
So we're having the Raisin d'Etre Blanc, and I think everyone's familiar with how we make this wine, but just kind of refresh your memory. So this is grapes, the Petit Manseng, that we bring in and put in our tobacco curing barns here on site. If you haven't seen them at Harris Creek, we have 2 tobacco barns, old repurposed tobacco barns, and the grapes go in the yellow lugs. One layer of grapes. We put them in the barn, turn up the heat to about 120 degrees Fahrenheit with fans blowing, and it will dehydrate and concentrate the grapes. And when we take them out of the barn after about 10 days to 2 weeks, there are raisins, and not a lot of juice in them, but obviously very concentrated. And so we then begin the process like we would ferment any white wine. This is barrel fermented. We usually make about 2 barrels a year, so one being either a brand new barrel or 2 of them being a 1-year-old barrel, depends on the vintage. And the fermentation takes place. Now, mind you, the yield out of 1 ton of grapes is normally 2.5 barrels worth of wine. And when we do this process, obviously we're concentrating it, and we barely get a barrel's worth of wine on the same volume of grapes that go into the tobacco barn. So it's an expensive process, but the concentration is well worth it. And it's barrel fermented and aged anywhere from 18 months to 2 years in barrels. And what happens is obviously the fermentation takes place, but there's so much sugar. When they come out of the barn, they're about 38 Brix, which is roughly % sugar. And not all that can be converted into alcohol. So you have a lot of residual sugar. And this one has about 10%, close to 10%, I believe, of residual sugar that didn't ferment, natural sugar. But you get that dried fruit component, really nice acidity, and very candied, a lot of candied fruit. And, you know, pineapple, candied pineapple comes to mind. And then a little bit of the richness of the oak comes back, little, you know, toast and vanillas from the oak. So it's very kind of rich, over the top, concentrated fruit notes, and that sweetness makes it a great pairing for lots of different things, whether it's cheese, some kind of fruit desserts with tart or honey-based desserts, or even great with foie gras, seared foie gras. So I think if we...
Next pairing will just be seared foie gras and wine. And how long can this, after you open it, how long can you keep it?
Well, because of the sugar and alcohol, this will last. It can stay, depends how much you have in the bottle, but I've had it for a couple of weeks, no problem. If you take the air out, protect it, it can last several weeks, not without a problem. But it's in a half bottle, so you know, a little glass every night will get you about a couple of weeks. So I really like when you taste the cheese and then the wine, and, you know, the acidity of the cheese helps to kind of, you know, ease the richness of the wine, but it's just a very decadent pairing, if you ask me.
And you should be pulling out like honey and pear and those pineapple notes that we mentioned. We're going to try to pull those out and get them on our palate.
Wow. I really love that. I'm not, you know, don't really drink this enough. We don't really drink this or have this pairing enough. It really is a great way to end the meal or start a day, either way.